The latest. Thank you for your love and support. Dr. Arikana, according to her, there is no place for us Africans in the UN Security Council. We are only going there to endorse, to obey, listen, carry out the agenda of the selective few. Because our going there is just a waste of time, waste of money, taxpayers' money, and at the end of the day, there is nothing. That there are a whole lot of times that people have called on the African leader to stop going there. According to her, she don't understand why African leaders know the motive behind this organization called UN, yet every year they waste money. They get there, give us beautiful speeches, they know exactly what to do, but the African leader will not do it. But she don't understand that this World Bank, they know the motive behind the loans that they are giving to us, forcing us to pay. According to Dr. Arikana, the African leaders are aware of the World Bank loans that they have been forcing it on us. That it is high time we put a stop to it, because there is no need forcing us to accept loans. That these people are only forcing us to be paying for things that we are not supposed to be paying for. We know that these loans that they are giving to us is to subject us under oppression, to keep pressure on our economy so the African economy doesn't grow. That yet the African leaders are aware, not that they've hidden this thing from us. It is open. They've even written a book on that, yet the African leader choose to obey the oppressor. That she don't know why. So let's listen to her as she explained further on this issue. So that's the latest around the world and in Africa.
It is actually, I have been saying this for years, that if I could influence the African leaders in any way, shape or form, they need to boycott attending the United Nations General Assembly. There's nothing there for them. They're just coming there to validate other people's issues. So if Africa was to really speak with one voice, they need to boycott the United Nations General Assembly. There's nothing there for them. They're just wasting taxpayers' money, having hundreds of them coming to the United Nations for what? You know, don't come to the United Nations. Tell the United Nations, if you don't fix this, if we're not members of the UN Security Council, we're not attending UNGA. Plain and simple. But unfortunately, they're not going to do it. You know, Africa needs to have a backbone. Africa needs to have a backbone. The biggest problems and challenges that we have, I often say, as Black people, not only Black people in Africa, but Black people around the world, we were defeated where it matters the most, which is the mind. I am going to say this honestly and sincerely, and some people may not like it, but it is our reality. We have African governments that have some members of the governments who are on the payrolls of foreign nations. We have Africans who are willing to be influenced, to be bought, to be paid in order to derail not only the continental agenda, but also agendas of their own country's development. You tell me, why is it that we have ministers of finance who come to Washington twice a year to discuss issues to do with funding for Africa, financial issues for Africa? Why haven't they come together and taken a position to truly challenge the World Bank and say, these loans that you continue to make us pay have been paid for gazillion times. They were illegally acquired. I'm encouraging everybody to read the book, Confessions of the Economic Hitman, where they talk about exactly how they would force these countries to accept these humongous loans. It was all a game at the expense of the African people. Our people know that. But why aren't they standing up and pushing back and calling a spade a spade? One, we have some that are on the payrolls of foreign governments, and yet they are in the government themselves. Shame on them. Two, we have some that are just scared of those who don't look like us. Again, it's part of the legacy of colonization and the legacy of slavery. We have some serious healing to do as Africans when it comes to our minds. No other man on earth in any leadership position would tolerate the abuse the Africans are tolerating, blatant abuse. So our bigger issue is the mind, our inability to fight back, our men standing up and being men like other men around the world. A lot of it has to do with some on an individual basis, greed. Others is just the mind. We're afraid of white people. We don't want to speak up in meetings because we're afraid we'll be labeled. It's the mind. At the end of the day, for me, it is the mind that was defeated. And until the mind is awoken and the mind is fearless and the mind simply says what's right is right, what is wrong, come to the United Nations, challenge the United Nations, go to the World Bank, challenge the World Bank with facts and knowledge of what is really going on. Call these nations out, tell them to stop the abuse, which is blatant. These nations are not trying to hide the abuse. The abuse is blatant. So to the Africans, I say, stand up, have a backbone, speak up. And for those in power, people appointed you into positions so you can represent the people. And to the people, I say to the Africans, if a leader is not representing you well, vote them out.